So, as you know, I'm a Brit living in Finland, and I still have a UK passport. Now, in the long term, over my life, the British government has done some terrible things. They've committed acts of genocide. Not just, I know people immediately think, oh, you know, you're talking about the stuff that went on in the UK in 2021, where people were forced to or coerced into having a certain thing. But I'm actually talking about things that happened well before that. I guess you could go back all the way to World War II, couldn't you, towards the very end, the firebombing of Dresden. The war was won, and our taxes were used to flatten, and I don't know how many people died in Dresden. Somebody will tell you. So if that wasn't a crime against humanity, don't know what is. Then in more recent times, we had Gulf War One, and then even more outrageously, because it was based on a lie, we had Gulf War Two, where allegedly we had the dodgy dossier, didn't we? Saddam's got WMD that he can deploy against Great Britain within, was it 48 hours notice or something like that, or whatever it was. Anyway, it turned out to be entirely fabricated, but it was very useful for the British government in that it enabled them to justify their actions, their regime change, and basically there's collateral damage. Over 1.5 million Iraqis were killed as a direct consequence of the actions of the British and American governments. Then we had Libya. Libya had the highest human development index in the whole of Africa, so the quality of life in Libya was the highest in Africa. And again, the actions of the British and American government, well, we bombed that place back into the Stone Age, and we now have an open slave market in Libya. So my question is to my viewers is that your fault? Should somebody blame you, because you're British, for the actions of the British government? You're a bad person because you're British, and the British government did terrible things. So because you're British, you're also responsible for that. A more nuanced position might be, oh, well, you're a British citizen, so you pay taxes in Britain, and those taxes funded bombs and missiles which killed my relatives in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever. So because you must have known about that, none of this was hidden, but you continued to pay tax. Let's talk about my old workmate, the physics teacher, Stuart Rogers, with the Palestinian virtue signalling scarf. Say to him, right, Stuart, well, you carried on working as a physics teacher in England, paying taxes, and your taxes flowed in to Tony Blair's government, and he used your taxes to kill brown people abroad. And indeed, actually, Stuart, you voted for Tony Blair on numerous occasions. So you were responsible for putting this warmonger into power. So, Stuart, blood is on your hands. You not only financed Tony Blair, you also made it possible for him politically. So you are to blame for the actions of the British government. Now, I know at this point there'll be many people saying, well, that's ridiculous. You should never blame an individual for the actions taken by a government, a corrupt set of politicians. How can you do that? How could you blame an individual for the actions of their government? Ridiculous. But you know what? At the moment, I'm seeing an awful lot of that. Can you guess what it is? So admittedly, it's mostly not very clever people doing this thing, or like politically correct authoritarians, PC authoritarians are doing it. But obviously they're doing it with Israel, aren't they? You know, you've got a lot of Jew hate. All Jews are bad people, and look at what the Israeli government are doing, and so therefore all Jews are bad people. And you know, this is exactly what it is. You know, you shouldn't blame ordinary people living in Israel for the actions of the Israeli government. That's what I believe, and it applies. If it applies to us, it should also apply to them too. Would you like to be blamed for the actions of Tony Blair's government? If not, I think you should cut some slack for some, you know, ordinary Jews, you know, not to just blindly assume that they support the actions of the Israeli government. It's kind of a bit mad, isn't it? But again, you know, it's no accident that this sort of thing is happening. It's one of the standard tactics of the Satanists, the globalists, which are, you know, again, is divide and rule. They want to split people up, Christian, Jew, Muslim, and then get them fighting amongst each other. You know, good, bad, you fight amongst yourselves whilst we get on with the job of crushing humanity. So I just really, you know, beg people to just stop falling for it, and to treat people as you find them, as individuals, and not to prejudge somebody because they happen to have been born in Israel. And that's all I want to say is God bless.